outro. Sorry, I hit the wrong one. Sorry, I hit the wrong one. I had the outro playing and wasn't looking. Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining. This is Donna. I am your host for Paranormal Hotseat.
And I'm Stacy Guest, and I'm the co-host here.
So obviously, I'm not very electronically able to run this myself. But anyway, so tonight we have Taryn Kerper with us from Paranormal Brew. She is the host of that show, and she's a big part of Parafam, and she is the admin for Stella Events. So I'm going to bring you Taryn, and hi, Taryn.
Hello.
Hey.
How are you? I'm
I'm
trying to
good.
share. I'm not looking down and being rude. I'm just trying to share it out,
Oh no, you're
Oh no,
fine.
you're good.
So,
How are
like
you
I said, I
ladies?
was listening to you. Well, good. I was listening to you on your podcast. It sounded like you had a very interesting investigation at this. This is not how I was going to start, but since it's
Oh yeah,
anyway. So where is this Hinsdale house?
it's in Hinsdale, New York, and it's ran by Daniel Clow. So if you guys want to, if anybody wants to stay there, rent it, for the weekend or whatever, you just reach out to him. He does all of it for the house and everything. It's amazing. Hinsdale House. If you ever get a chance, make it happen. It was to date the best investigation I've ever had.
Wow,
Awesome.
wow.
Yeah. Sorry, my phone was. I was hearing back because
Oh,
I didn't realize my volume wasn't all the way down. So
oh, okay. I heard the doom, and I'm looking to see if somebody was on.
yeah,
Oh no,
his
you're
house was
fine.
pretty awesome. I mean, um, I didn't see anything. I don't remember. I mean, well, I think I saw something outside, but I don't know what it was. It was some. I don't know what it was. It was an animal, some type of animal or something. But that was the only time that I ever really felt anything bad. But the rest of the time, I mean, I investigated there for 2.5 hours by myself, and I
Wow.
felt completely. But like, it was just such an awesome weekend from start to finish. There's so much that we had happen. Weird things too. Like the last day we were there, the sheriff's department showed up, and they got out and came up and said, we got a 911 call from a Katie Bellinger. Is she here? And we were like, we have no idea who that is. We didn't know who that was. And they said, oh, okay. And we said, well, we're heading out. There might be people coming in behind us. Like, I mean, and he said, no, it was just like this Katie Bellinger 911 and gave us this address of Three Bear Drive or Three Bear Road. And when we put it in our GPS, it brought us here. Well, that's not, there's no road in Hinsdale called Three Bear Drive or Road.
Wow.
And the girl that was taking us around, Tiffany, said she never heard the name. She never heard that name. She lived there her whole life. And there's no Bear Road or anything. So weird stuff like that happened, which I thought was really cool.
Oh, cool.
Yep.
So the
Um,
police don't know that the street don't exist, so that's
right,
so weird.
right.
Yeah.
Right. Now, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if there's a difference between like the sheriff's department, if they're like, if they were like filling in or helping out and like really didn't know. I mean, I don't know how you wouldn't know that. You know what I
Right,
mean? Like they
right.
put it in their GPS and they said it brought them there. So we didn't ask too many questions. They just, asked us that and we were like, we have no idea, and that was just weird. But aside from that, I mean, I mean, my pillow got poked, Lauren everybody basically got touched at some point.
You
Um,
guys stayed overnight?
we stayed there for 2 nights.
Oh,
Oh
okay,
wow.
cool.
Yeah, we stayed there for 2 nights. They recently have located 11 unmarked graves on the property,
Wow.
all in the same area. And, they're marking them and trying to figure out how to handle it, like, do they dig them up? You know what I mean? Do they
Yeah.
exhume or, try to
Right.
find out more stuff, or what do they do? How they go forward. But we did an EVP session out there and we have it. We just, are still trying to get through everything and so we can save the files. But like I was out there and I said, does your family know you're here? And you heard a no on the recorder. So
Wow.
that was interesting because when it was first became, a house, there were two brothers that lived there. And they actually were kind of like pirates almost, if you will. They um, would land pirates, if you, I call them, because stagecoaches would go past the house and they would actually rob the stagecoaches, but kill the people that were riding in the stagecoaches as well. So, I mean, the bodies that are buried there might very well be these people. Who
Yeah,
knows?
you never. Wow, that's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah. So it's very interesting, the place. There was an Indian massacre that took place on the property um, in history. So, they have a giving tree where if you go there as a paranormal investigator, you give an offering. People hang like, dream catchers on there, or they put bottle of beer, they just leave whatever, they're
Oh,
giving it.
okay.
So just to kind of, it's like a peace offering, if you will, and,
Mhm.
we started, the Peaches started another tree. So we gave to the original giving tree, but then I was like, you know what? I want to start a tree over here. We put like a peach on it and put like peach wine down there and stuff.
There you go.
So
So you said you're still going through the evidence. How long ago did you guys go? Was this like the real recent? I take it.
yeah, it was the September 23rd and the 24th.
Okay.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
We have
Wow.
2 days
I would
of,
love to go somewhere and stay tonight.
man, it was, and I do think the second night it was more active, but I think um whatever spirit energy or whatever you want to call it is there. I think they kind of got used to us. And so I think the second night they were more apt to come out, and be a little bit, because the second night was definitely more active. We actually were like, I wonder how tonight would be if we stayed another night. Like, would it be even more active?
Wow.
Because it was just, I mean, and the energy in the house was so positive. Like you hear a lot of bad stuff about the house, which
Yeah.
I was hesitant to even go because I'm like, I don't like anything negative. I'm
Yeah.
Casper
Right.
and Slimer, maybe. That's the only you know, any weird stuff. Nope. I don't like that bad stuff. So I try to stay away from that. So I was hesitant. And I got to say, it was totally the opposite. I mean, for me to be able to, for the first time ever, investigate by myself for 2.5
Yeah.
hours, and I didn't
Wow.
feel threatened. I wasn't scared, nothing. Um, I have to say, it was just awesome.
Wow. So piggybacking on that, where's the creepiest place you ever been?
Creepiest. That's tough. Um, hmm.
I
That's
got to
that,
think it.
that's a tough question because, um, I mean, I feel like I see what you're saying. There's a difference, right? The
Yeah.
Hinsdale house
Because you,
definitely.
like you said, you could go somewhere and be comfortable and not feel anything bad, but you could go someplace and be
Okay.
like,
Well,
yeah, I don't like this place.
so I'm gonna have to say the Hinsdale house because, and I know I said it was positive the whole time. However, there was one incident that we talked about. We were outside at night. You can't see. Can I curse?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're fine.
You can't see shit. It's so dark, right?
Wow.
So you automatically, and you're surrounded by woods, and they tell you bears can come down. They've been known to come down and stuff. So just make sure you guys are watching for bears and stuff. So right away, I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, this is
I know.
crazy.
I've been like,
I'm
no.
like, so, okay. I'm from New Jersey. We go into the Pine Barrens and I got to worry about, the Pineys, the people that, are crazy and live in the woods and stuff, and
Yeah.
you always go, but no, I come to Hinsdale. I'm like, oh my God, this is awesome. And she's like, oh, but there's bears. I'm like, great. Now I got to worry about bears. I'm like, but so we went out at night and we were over by where the 11 graves are and we were doing it. And I was already creeped out because I couldn't see. And I was like,
Yeah.
I want to be able to see if
Yeah.
there's an animal coming my way. That's all
Right.
I cared about. And we went in and we got a FLIR and we got night vision goggles. And I said, okay, I feel a little bit better now that I can see,
Yeah.
at least and luckily there was a cat. So we tested it to see what an animal looks like on the FLIR and on the night vision goggles.
Okay.
And we could see it. We could tell the difference between the
Clearly.
two.
Oh, good.
Make it. I was like, okay, I feel better. So we're the three of us are sitting there. We do that. We hear what sounded like like a boulder hitting dirt, just a mound of dirt. It was like boom. I was like, "What the fuck is that?" Right? And I got the flare because all of a sudden, bear just goes in my head. I'm like, "Oh my god!" So I'm like, I said, "I don't see nothing. I don't see nothing." So I was like, "Listen, let's just go back towards the house." So we went back towards the house. We were sitting around the fire pit because we were allowing the other ones to investigate inside the house. So there was 7 of us all together. So 3 of us were outside. There were 7 of us. 3 of us. No, because there's only 3 inside. So 4 of us are outside. I think. I don't know. There was only 3 people in the house, and we were giving them time to investigate inside. And I heard a bang against the house. Now the house, you can hear when somebody shuts the bathroom door, and you can hear when somebody, because one of the refrigerators you got to slam, you know what I mean, to shut it.
Right.
Yeah.
You can hear that outside. So at first, when I heard the bang, I said that sounded like it was outside. There was nothing there. I had my flashlight like this, and I'm looking, and then I was waiting to see one of the other girls, like either walking from the bathroom or walking back into the living room from the kitchen because they shut the door or whatever, and I didn't see it. And I waited for a couple minutes. Yes. So I waited for a couple minutes, and I was turning around like this, and the flashlight flashed in my friend Kelly's eyes, and I said, "Sorry, Kel," and I went like this, and I see the flashlight hits 2 eyeballs, right?
Wow.
Where we just were. So I was like, "What the fuck is that?" And the 2 of them are standing there, right? And now I'm talking out loud, so they're fully aware of everything that I'm like going through at the moment, right? I was like, "That's a big animal," because the eyes were a little taller than what down on the ground, right?
Yeah.
So I had the FLIR. So I'm like this, and as I put it up, this animal was facing forward. It turned, and had this wide body, and I was like, "Oh." I was like, "That's not a deer." I was like, "That is a bear," right?
Oh wow.
Wait, and they're like, "What? Where?" And I'm like, in my head, I'm like, "They're seriously wanting me to show them? Like, I'm about to be out." Right? And I'm like, I put the FLIR down. I'm like, "Hold up." Like this. I put the flashlight back up,
Yes, she
and
is.
the eyes were like going like this, and it was walking towards us. I was like,
Oh wow.
I literally pushed Megan out of the way. And my butt cheeks were clenched. I had a tear coming out of my eye. I said, I thought it was a bear, legit bear. I ran so fast.
Wow.
I said all week, and I said, I finally did a dude run, just like Brian did on Ghost Hunters. I was out. It was like, I mean, all the equipment fell off my lap. I didn't even give a shit. I ran inside without it. I did not
Wow.
care.
I would have did the same thing.
I was that scared, right? And I'm like, why didn't they follow me? I couldn't believe it, right? So my recorder's out there because it fell on the ground. I ran. So you can hear Megan and Kelly talking, and you can hear them discussing like, "Oh yeah, what is that? Like I see that, I see it." I'm thinking, and I'm inside. I'm like, "What are they doing?" I'm like, "That was a bear." I was like, "There's a bear out there." I was like, "That shit was coming towards us." I was like, "A deer wouldn't come towards us." I was like, "A bear would," and they're out. I said, "I can't believe they're out there." Well, they come running in and say it's a deer, right? And you can hear on my recorder, Megan's like, "It's fucking Bandy," and then she's and then you hear them talking, right? And then you hear them talking, and then they're like, "Wait, no, I don't know. I can't see. I can't tell." And you can hear them discussing, but they come in and say it's a deer, right? Just to kind of, I guess, calm me down because I was freaking bear.
I don't even know if I would have been sitting there trying to figure out what it was. I would have been gone too.
And then they're busting my balls, right? Like, "Oh, dude, run. And, good. Thanks. Don't bring Taryn anywhere." I said, "Listen, if any of you guys ran, I would follow and ask questions later. There's no damn way I would have waited."
You get that. Oh,
Yeah.
man.
I would run inside and be like, "What did you, that we could talk about it inside where we're safe." Obviously,
Yes.
it's safer inside than you do outside.
Right.
You followed horror movie rules.
Exactly.
Hey, she likes Michael Myers. Come on.
Yep. You followed horror movie rules. You run and then talk about it after.
Yeah. And,
Terry, you
the thing
scared
is,
bricks.
I was out. I was out. It's funny. We were all listening to the audio of that and we're dying laughing.
Oh
Like
my God.
we have, it's one thing is like when we're all together, we just have so much fun together. And so listening to all this audio really isn't that bad because I'm cracking up every 5 seconds at the stuff that happened, because we just had such a good time. But so anyway, Megan now is saying like, so here's the interesting thing. I saw this thing in the FLIR. After I ran inside, they were trying to look, they could see it with their flashlights, the glowing of the eyes, and it was kind of going away from them, but to go around the front of the house. But like they said it when they tried to look at it through the night vision goggles, there was nothing there.
Wow.
So that's the only odd thing. I don't know that much about night vision goggles to know if there's a malfunction of something like that. Could you not see? Because like I said earlier, there was a cat outside. So we were able to make sure we could see the animals and I know I saw an animal on that. And then when it turned to the side, I just remember seeing the body was so big and round. And I was like,
wow.
When I looked up with my flashlight again and I saw the eyes were like going like this and it was coming towards us. I was like, oh, fuck. I'm still scared thinking about it, like, and seeing it because it honestly came like, I felt like it was looking into my soul at that moment. And I was just like, oh,
wow.
Like, when you're like 5 and you're running up your basement steps.
Yeah.
Like, yep, I knew. Oh my God. I never ran so fast in my life. I was in that door. Oh my God. I was like, I'm not just thinking about it. So I have to say it's both Hinsdale. I mean, I had that was the creepiest thing I've ever experienced.
Wow. So that kind of answers another question I was going to ask you. Because me being a young investigator, I tell people I haven't had my oh shit moment yet. Where you go, like, oh shit, what was that? So sounds like you had yours at the Hinsdale house.
That was my first. That was my ocean. Like equipment went flying, everything. Like I did not care. I was out. I was like,
what's up? Wow. That's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, there was a couple of moments. I mean, I have a piece of equipment. It's a trigger prop, and it was made probably 12 years ago. And I bring it out once in a while when I know there's theories or stories or behind children being at a location. Us children's spirits or whatever. So it's like a toy train. That's what it looks like. Okay. So I'll bring it. It never works. So
that's what you were talking about. Okay.
Yeah.
I kind of caught the end of that conversation, but go ahead.
So it never works. And we're sitting there now. The house, it's two floors. They cut to get the venting system. They cut a hole in the center of the floor and the ceiling, so, and they just have like this like light barbed wire type stuff over top of it. So you could hear you could hear if you're in the next room, like from the downstairs upstairs. So we put a REM pod up there. We put the train up there out front of one of the rooms. We had the video camera up there, videotaping everything, recording, and recorders up there and stuff. And we were downstairs in the living room, just all being cackling hens and laughing and talking, and all of a sudden we hear, and we were like, wait a second, what the hell was that? Now I had a recorder going the entire time. I said, that was the train. And at first when we heard this scrape noise, we thought it was one of the chairs up there. Yeah. Right. So we go back and we listen, and you can clearly hear the train. You hear this, right? And Kim goes upstairs and comes running downstairs, and she's like, that was not in the spot that it was.
Wow.
It moved.
Oh, wow.
She's like, I put it in front of Mary's room. Now, when you're listening to all the recordings, she says that. So it's not like she forgot that she didn't do it. When she went upstairs and was putting the stuff up there, she came downstairs, and on my audio, you can hear her go, I put the train in front of Mary's room, and I put the REM pod over here. So she was like, saying she put it. She kicked herself in the ass now for not taking a picture. But I said, you know what? I trust you. I trust her wholeheartedly. Like, I know she wouldn't make shit up.
Right.
So she went upstairs, came running down, and she said, I'm not going back up there. The train's moved. Like it's
Wow.
not in the spot. Go look at it. Go look at it. I put it in front of Mary's room. Now it's in the middle of the two rooms.
Wow.
We've been looking at the video that we got that you can, it like kind of, you just see the tip of the train in the video, and we don't find any video of it moving. Or
Wow.
so we don't know what it is, but we tested the sound against the EVP that we got, or we tested what it would sound like if it was lightly pushed across the floor.
Yeah.
And we put them next to each other, sound exactly like the same thing.
Wow.
That's weird. Like that was one thing that definitely was strange. But then every time we were kind of like cackling amongst ourselves and stuff like that and like talking, that's when stuff was happening.
Yeah.
Like, hey, pay attention to us. Aren't you here to talk to us?
Yeah, that's usually what happens too on investigations. It's the times where you're not really paying attention to anything. Yeah.
What's up, Rob? Yeah, we had a residential house we did, and we were just kind of sitting around. We had a very little light on. We didn't turn everything off. We were sitting around shooting the shit, and then you hear REM pod go off upstairs.
Yeah.
It's like, okay. One lady was like, I'm like, that's exciting. No, it's okay.
I mean, there was one part, and this is why I say it's my favorite place, because believe me, Rolling Hills was my first. Rolling Hills in Bethany, New York, and that was amazing. I mean, but what I'm about to tell you is why in Hinsdale kind of is like, because nothing ever felt threatening at all, except for whatever beast I saw that was coming. That was the only time I felt threatened. But like, so there was 5 of us sleeping in the living room, and we were like, so our heads were facing the kitchen.
Okay.
So there was a doorway, the kitchen, and then another doorway. And inside that room was where Kim and Dana were sleeping. And so our heads were facing, the back, or facing the kitchen. So our feet were towards the rear. It was me, Jocelyn, and Lauren. Megan was on the one couch, and our Kelly was on the other couch. So the 5 of us were like right there. Megan was already passed out. And we hear what sounded like somebody walk into the kitchen, and like we brought these baskets with us, like, that had all kinds of food and candy in it. But we hear like the paper of that, like kind of rustling. And then, so I thought Kim, because she was just talking like 10 minutes ago, I thought Kim had got up and was going to be coming into the living room.
Mm-hmm.
We all did. And like, we never, I was like, Kim. And we got up, we looked back, and there was nobody there.
Wow.
But we legit thought it was we heard the footsteps. We heard the rustling of the basket.
Yeah.
And she was sleeping.
Wow.
So that was awesome. And that is on record. I had my recorder going the entire time.
That's cool. The candy you guys apparently developed.
Yeah, we did a lot of fun things. I mean, it wasn't just, it was like such a unique experience there. So I recommend it to anybody for sure. Hands down.
Yeah.
Right on.
That's
So,
awesome.
when you go on your paranormal investigations, are you always with a team, or do you do it sometimes by yourself?
Never by myself.
Okay.
Except for this past, at the Hinsdale, when they all went to dinner and left me there. And that's the only time I've ever investigated by myself.
Right.
But when private homes are a little different, because most of the historical sites and the paracons and this and that, there's always other people there anyway. So you're never really by yourself. Like me and the Peaches will do, it also helps with the price when you're having to pay to investigate somewhere. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
you get your people that you trust, and you kind of can split that up, and it makes it a little bit easier, to be able to do the stuff that you do,
Right.
But yeah, the Peaches are like my team. You know what I mean? Basically, like if I ever were to do a private house, I definitely reach out to them and want them involved, to help out with the private house and everything. So we're an official, unofficial team.
okay.
We came together by fate, and we just are we're like soul sisters, all of us. We would lay down in traffic for each other. So It's really good to be a part of a group of women like that, you know?
Yeah.
Right
Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
That's good. I
Um,
know.
yeah. So, I mean, but private houses, if I do a prelim, when I do a prelim, I go out with either even doing a prelim, but it'll only be one or two people. That'd be like,
Yeah.
but that's just a prelim. But, um, depending on the size of location would depend on,
How
how
many
many
people you
How
take?
many
but
people?
I generally
Yeah.
wouldn't, I don't investigate by myself.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what? I take that back.
The peaches are awesome.
Yeah, thank you. Um, when I'm in Gettysburg, I investigate by myself.
Oh, I so want to go there.
That is, whenever somebody asks me my most favorite place, what's the best place, this, whatever, at Gettysburg, I can't include into that because that's just automatic. Like
Yeah.
I have the coordinates tattooed on my arm.
Oh wow.
I want to live there. So I can't, that just is that's just like the given, that's the
Yeah.
ultimate place. But, Hinsdale comes in second, but Gettysburg, I'm so at home there. I can walk around anywhere and I investigate. I go live on on Paranormal Brew and stuff like that. And I have to tell you, it does feel better. You feel like you're with people when you're
Yeah.
live. People are interacting, so you don't feel
Yeah.
like you're alone.
Yeah.
So that kind of helps. But I'll walk around in the woods there any day or anytime, and I investigate all the time there by myself.
Wow.
Yeah,
Right
I love
on.
it.
So who or what actually influenced you to get involved with the paranormal?
So my mom was into it,
Okay.
and so I was a late bloomer. I wasn't like 4 years old, although when I say when I first started getting into it, I didn't realize that experiences that I had were paranormal.
Okay.
If they happened, and I was afraid of stuff like that. So I don't know if I just chalked it off as like that was nothing. You know what I mean? And kind of tried to like ignore what happened,
Yeah.
as opposed to embrace it and try to figure out what the fuck just happened. But after I went through my training and stuff like that, and I started, I had 3 months of intense training to be in the first paranormal group that I was in, South Jersey Ghost Research.
Oh wow.
It was like 3 months of training, and it was, classroom, on the field, all kinds of stuff. And it was a written test, there was a field test, and so it was pretty like boot campy. But I am happy that I went through that experience.
Yeah.
We learned a lot. So yeah, and then I don't even know where the hell I was going with that. I have ADD. You guys got to reel me back in.
Sometimes we just
you
we talk about your intense training.
Oh, how I got into it.
Yeah.
So my mom, my mom is to blame for my love of Gettysburg and for the paranormal, because my mom was into it. I was not. I was afraid of it.
Yeah.
I think we lived in a haunted house because I just felt uneasy there. So I would always sleep with my back to the room, my TV or radio on, and a nightlight, because I didn't want to see anything. I wouldn't hear anything. I didn't want no parts of it. I think at one time, my mom, something happened in my room, and I went downstairs and I knocked on my mom's door, and I told her, and she goes, "Oh, that's just Brad." And I'm like, "What?" Now normally,
Brad.
my mom would be like,
like,
"Oh,
who the hell is Brad?"
Yeah, like say, "Oh, there's no such thing as ghost," like this. I know. She's like, "Oh, yeah, I named the ghost in our house Brad because I love Brad Pitt and I think he's hot. So if I picture Brad Pitt, then I'm not going to be afraid of it." And I'm like, "Is this woman for real?" Like, so my mom one day just asked me to come go to Gettysburg with her, and I didn't want to go. I had no idea what was in Gettysburg. I said, "Oh my God, this sounds so boring." She wanted to go to reenactments, and she goes, "I want to try to talk to ghosts."
Okay.
My mom was a big, huge enthusiast. She wanted to communicate with ghosts, and I'm just like, I said, "You're nuts. I'm not going with you, and you do that." So I don't know how we got to work this out, but so she wanted to see and talk and hear, and wanted to experience. We did ghost tours. We did all kinds. She wanted to like really feel something. And I fell in love with Gettysburg the second we got there.
Wow.
I was like, what have I been missing my entire life? Like, it felt like home to me. I cried when we left. And that was my first
Wow.
one there. So I immediately just booked trips. I started going and now I go at least once a month, at least.
Oh
I
wow.
Oh wow.
seriously go through withdrawal. I go through withdrawal. So, yeah, so I'm actually going next weekend. I was just there and I was just there last weekend. So,
How far away are you from Gettysburg?
2.5 hours.
Oh, that's not bad.
Oh, that's not bad at all. Mm-mm.
No,
No.
I'll probably go too.
Like, thankfully, I thank God. Any further, I would be depressed. You know what I mean? Like, and it's funny because whenever I talk to people and they say where they're from, I'm like, I wonder how far away from Gettysburg that is. Like, that's my first thought process. Like, it's really crazy. I'm very attached to that place. But
That's funny.
yeah, my mom, and then we were in the park. At this time, you could be at the park until 10 o'clock at night. You can't anymore, but you used to be able to. When I say park, it's, where you drive around and see the monuments and stuff like
Yeah.
that. Because in all actuality, people call it the battlefield, but the entire town was the battlefield. That place was riddled with soldiers and fighting and everything all over the town.
So you don't have to necessarily go to one particular area.
Nope.
Just anywhere.
You do not. I've had experiences all over that place.
Wow.
Even in a bathroom, in like a public bath. Like, it's crazy. Like, you can just literally, I mean, it really is amazing. So yeah, we went, and and the one night she wanted to get out and walk. It was like 9:40. It was so dark. And now, mind you, I was not trying to ghost hunt.
And you were how old? You were around how old?
I was 27.
Oh.
Yeah, I think. Let me think.
Okay.
I think I was like 20, 25, 26, 27, something like that.
Wow.
So, I'll say I'm 44 now. So that's how long ago it was. So anyway, I get out, or she's like, oh, I'm just going to, so the one spot was called the wheat field. She goes, I just want to get out and see if I can talk to them. I'm like, all right, well, I'm locking the doors and I'm rolling the windows up, and I'm like, you're on your own. I said, we got 15 minutes. I hear anything, I'm out. Right? And as we're talking about this, we're looking at each other, and I start to smell something. I thought she farted. I was like, oh my God. I said, what does that smell? I mean, did you fart? And she's like, I was just going to ask you the same thing. Did you fart? And on her window, you saw my window shake. It was like 3 hard knocks. Like,
Wow.
I'm like, who the fuck is out there? I don't see nobody. What just knocked on my window?
Wow.
And I took off. Pedal to the metal, took off. Right? My mom was so mad. She's like, you should have let me get out and tried to talk. I said, drop and roll, Grandma. I am out. I will be back. No. I was so scared.
Oh,
Now I look back and I'm like, oh, I would have gotten out. You know what I mean? Like, I wish I could go back in time,
Yeah.
And from there, then I'm like, okay, that wasn't that bad. That was weird. I couldn't explain it. I was trying to say, I asked her, I said, were you hitting your head on the window? I know she wasn't moving, but your mind just tries to, make sense of what it is or what just happened. Because automatically that's what happens, right? You automatically are like, okay, was that this? Was that that? But, and then that same weekend, Miss I want to see a ghost and talk to a ghost. Literally, when she saw one, she looked like she had, like, you ever heard that expression? You look like you just saw a ghost.
Yeah.
I've never seen my mother that way. And for somebody that wanted to experience something so bad, and then when she did, and then she freaked out, like, I knew she wasn't lying what she saw,
Yeah.
And I mean, we were going to our room. We were going back to our bed. We were staying at a bed and breakfast that was in the park. So it's the only bed and breakfast inside the park, which is really cool. So we were turning, and she's like looking, and she's like, what are all those rangers doing in the field? She could, and this was nighttime. This was like, it was dark, it was like almost close to midnight. And she was saying, out in the distance, she could see what looked like a bunch of rangers, but it was dark. And And all of a sudden, she hopped up. She hit her head on the top of my car, the ceiling, and she's like, "Oh my God, did you just see that?" And I looked in my rear view. There was nothing. I was like, "What?" And she said there were 4 Confederate soldiers that almost walked into your car. Like
Wow.
she's like, they almost walked into your car. She's like, they didn't look at us. They didn't see us. Obviously this is something residual or, natural recording, but I mean, at the time, I didn't know any better, but I literally looked in the rearview mirror. I didn't see anything. And I drove up a little bit and turned around. And as I turned around, my headlights were scanning the field. Now, this was open field for hundreds of yards. Like, they couldn't have just disappeared. Like, if they were actual people walking, like, they couldn't have went anywhere. I would have seen them. We would have seen them.
Yeah.
And there was nobody there. And she was pale white. She was shaking. She was scared. And I was like, told you. So I don't mess with that shit. I was like, I told you. I told you. But it was like after that, I was like, all right, and then partly I started watching Ghost Hunters in 2004. So I mean, I kind of was like an enthusiast a little bit. Like, I liked watching Ghost Hunters, but I didn't actually want to get out there and do it. You know what I mean? Like, I wanted a part of it.
Right.
So, but I mean, in all these years of doing it, I mean, it's just, and I look back at the experiences I had prior, and I'm like, wow, it's been around me this whole time, and, it's really not that bad. I love it, and then my dad passed away, and I started following John Edwards, and, he's a medium psychic. I don't know if you guys know who he is, because he had a show called Crossing Over.
Mm-hmm.
I remember.
Yeah, with John
show.
Edwards.
Yeah.
So I went to 5 of his live events in person, to see him. And when my dad passed, I was struggling for something. You know what I mean? Like, I felt like I needed something because I was falling apart. I had a really tough time with it. And I was going to all different kinds of churches to see where I said, I need something. I mean, I went to every type of denomination that you could, you can think of, like everything. Cause I just felt like I needed something. And I was watching the John Edwards thing one night, and, to me, that was like kind of therapy, like here seeing him connecting with people, that supposedly cross over, like thinking, okay, well, it's kind of therapy. Like, okay, then my dad's still around. But, I finally landed. I'm a non-practicing Catholic now, but at the time, that's kind of like just where it led me. So I became, a Catholic, and, kind of like there was one of the fathers there, and I didn't know that they changed fathers every 4 years. So I kind of like, he was really cool. He had an earring in his ear. I could really relate to the guy, you know what I mean? And, so I talked to him a lot because of the things I was going through. And I had asked him one time, about, could this be real, that these people can actually communicate and talk to people that have passed away? And he said, well, if you think about it now, in the Catholics believe, like, Jesus rose again and people saw him, people would get visions and stuff like that through, from God and Jesus, you know what I mean? So the communication part is possible. He said, however, if people say, they're physically, they're talking, then I wouldn't believe them. However, I'm clairaudient. I can hear them. Okay. So, I think that was more of the Catholic belief. Whereas when he was saying, yes, I believe this can happen, that was more, him talking, as opposed to, I'm a priest and I have to say, but if, this, then, I mean, let's be honest. Catholics are the ones that, they do the
exorcisms.
And they have so if they believe in that, they have to believe in the other.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah. So, but anyways, I'm a non-practicing Catholic. I'm just a spiritual person. I'm just a spiritual person. So, I believe higher power, good, evil, and that, just as humans, we put labels on everything, and we have to, and it is what it is. But anyway, yeah. So my mom kind of, is the one that got me into it.
Cool. I couldn't even pinpoint when I decided to get into the paranormal. One day I just went to a ghost tour and I was hooked.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah,
telling somebody, I was telling somebody a couple of days ago, I was like, you know what? I could retire in 6 years, and I just may well do it so I could ghost hunt full time.
absolutely. Oh my gosh. I mean, that would be awesome, right? That would
I
be
know,
the
right?
best. That would be the best to be able to do that. I say it all the time. I'm like, anybody that says they would refuse getting paid to do this is lying, because
Yeah,
we all would love to be able to get paid and do it
and do
and
something we love. Yeah,
Mhm.
make money doing something that we love and keeping our passion. You know what I mean? That's the thing. Like, the people that are getting paid for it are still doing it, whether they're getting paid or not.
right.
So if you were to ever get paid for it, you just have to stay humble like that and just remember, this is my passion. I'm not doing this for the money.
For the money, right?
Come
Mhm.
tomorrow,
Exactly.
I'm still going to want to do it.
Yeah,
It's money's there or not there,
Right.
So that's how I feel about it.
yeah. What you had something for us, Stacy?
Sure. So, Taryn.
I don't want to seem like I'm doing all the talking either.
No,
So.
no, you're good. So, Taryn, if you could be remembered for one thing in the paranormal field, what would it be?
My integrity.
Right on.
Awesome. That's awesome.
Good answer. Yep.
My integrity. I will never fake anything, and will never
Yeah.
lie. I will never lie about an experience.
Mhm.
And I won't ever put anything fake out there ever. And I want to
Yeah.
maintain that
That's
integrity for sure.
awesome.
Right on.
Yeah, I can't even. I know there's people out there to do it, but I couldn't imagine faking evidence to try to make me look good. Just no.
Mhm.
So, is there a place that you won't investigate?
It used to be Hinsdale. They
Oh.
literally tried. I know, isn't it crazy? So they tried the Peaches tried, Megan's tried to get me out there a couple of times. I'm like, nope, because everybody would always say bad stuff about it, like
Yeah.
bad, like negative stuff. And I'm like, listen, you guys might be into that shit, not me. I'm not into it. So I refused for 2 years, and finally
Wow.
Megan's like, you're going. And then the other Peaches chimed in, you're going, you're going, you're going. And I'm like, fine, I'm going. So I really wasn't looking forward to it. And I'm
Wow.
telling you, it changed within a second. I was like, wow, this place is awesome.
Wow. That's awesome. I haven't. Yeah, I want to. Hopefully, we have an event coming up on the 22nd. We're going to be down in Miami, Arizona. So I'm really hoping that turns out to be a place that's really active. Because
You
I'm
said
ready to.
Arizona?
Yeah, it's Miami, Arizona. It's about hour and a half south of Phoenix.
Okay.
So looking forward to that.
Wednesday, I'm having we had to pre-record it, but Wednesday on my show, I'm having that Arizona treasure hunter on.
Oh, okay.
And he used to work for Jerome Ghost Tours.
Ghost tours. Yeah.
The Jerome Ghost Tours or whatever. And we had a very interesting conversation about Arizona. I mean,
Oh, wow.
he legit, like, he spent 58 days survival out in the desert, treasure hunting and stuff. And some of the stuff he found was
Wow.
astronomical. And he was like on the Travel Channel and all them things and stuff like that. But it was interesting what he said about like, I want to go out there.
I have to write this down so I remember. I'm putting my phone. I want to watch that.
Yeah.
Well, Taryn, you come out and you visit anytime. You come down and visit anytime.
Oh, yeah. So what time is it Eastern on Wednesday?
What happened?
What time is it?
Oh,
Your show going to be on?
7:30, 7:35, I think.
7:35 Eastern, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we had a very, very amazing conversation today, because I talked to him about, like, some of the stuff he finds. I'm like, do you remember I asked him, do you remember the show Haunted Collector? John Zaffis bringing that stuff home like that, and he actually talked about only once where sometimes he knew what it was. He's like an anthropologist. He's done like all kinds of stuff. So he knows what he's looking at when somebody finds something. His ex-wife wanted to bring pottery, wanted to find pottery. And she thought she had found a piece of pottery, and when he looked at it, he said, that's a part of a human skull.
Oh,
And
wow.
what it was a victim of cannibalism. And he said the reason he knew that was, and he started telling me how he know, like how they would cook the bodies,
Yeah.
and how the bones would get this certain type of a shape and form and this, consistency. So he's like, I knew right away that's what it was. I told her to put it back, but she didn't.
Wow.
And brought it home. And in 2 days he filed for divorce. Like all this stuff happened. And it was while we had, and he took it back, and he didn't know where she had found it, but took it back in that vicinity and put it back. And finally he said things died down after that. But that was the only time that anything, because he finds Spanish coins from way back in 7,000-year-old coins.
Yeah. Wow.
Amazing stuff.
Yeah, I just put it in my phone, so I was listening. I was just putting it in my phone. So I got to catch that show.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Nice. Okay, Stacy.
What is a common myth about being a paranormal podcast host?
That's a good question. Like it.
That's why we call it the hot seat.
Yep.
Common myth. Well, I think that we don't do our research on our guests and stuff. That's a lot of things. I think I learned that the hard way. I had one guest on that now I do. I mean, I know the people that are coming on, and I know if somebody's that I'm referred to somebody, the person referring me, if I trust them and I know that they're legit and whatever, I don't really do too much research because I know they would never do that.
Yeah.
Or send me to somebody that was a cuckoo's nest, Unfortunately, the one that I had, the doozy, was he contacted me, and gave me this long laundry list of credentials and this and that. And I was dumb not to. I learned the hard way. I didn't research, and the guy was a total fraud.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
And was basically using the paranormal platform because he had been on so many. And I was like, he picked the wrong podcast to come on, because once I figured out all his lies and stuff, I blasted his ass all over the internet. And I gave him an opportunity. I gave him an opportunity to come forward, prove me wrong, and I'll take back everything that I've, I'll tell everybody I was wrong, and he blocked me and was talking to another group and saying that the what the hell is that called when the lineup photo, when you get arrested?
Oh, your mugshot.
All the mugshots were fake. This and that. I mean, he was just trying to deny it. Then I was like, oh, this motherfucker. So he was actually, it was really creepy. This is why it was so important to me to stop this guy, and which I think I still hear little bits here and there. But it's died down. But, he was, to me, using the paranormal platform to get into the homes of people who were either grieving or sick children. He was claiming that he could help children cross over.
Wow.
And he says, I don't charge, but I do accept donations. So you're going into the homes of these parents that are going to lose their child eventually, terminal children. And he would go there and he would say that he would help them to learn to be able to cross over. They'll go to heaven and this and that. And there were people, and he would blast his phone number all over. And he would actually get people to call him, and he would go to these, one of the group, he was with a group, and he confirmed that somebody had reached out to him, that he was on a podcast for help. And then he's going into these homes and, just who knows what he's doing. It was just weird.
How did you find them out?
When I was doing my interview, there was some I just started to get weird vibes every time he brought up children. I was getting this thing in my stomach, like
Yeah.
that was not, it didn't feel good, about he shared pictures of some of these children that
Wow.
apparently he was helping to cross over. And I saw these photos and I'm like, oh my God. And he's like insisting that I share these photos on the live. And I'm like, I am not sharing those photos. One of the photos, supposedly, according to him, now he's full of shit. So I don't know what he's lying about or he's not. But he claims that the child was dead.
Wow.
And he's sending me photos. So it was just not right, And I said, what the hell? So he had claimed on my show that he was pen pals with Ted Bundy.
What a creeper.
So
it's like, okay, so that's something to brag about?
Yeah,
Wow.
no. Mm-mm.
So he was pen pals. Now, unfortunately, this got him on a lot of podcasts. People wanted to hear about the Ted Bundy letters and the dialogue between the two and this and that. And, I was like, nobody's ever asked. I said, I want to see him.
Wow.
I want to see the friggin' letters. I want to see, he claimed to be
Right. Show me.
he claimed to be a parapsychologist. He claimed to be that he worked for the under the direction of the Florida State Police, this and that, like helping them find people,
Yeah.
Stuff like this. None of it is true, but people see this and they and just like family people that are in that desperate situation that want help, because he also claims that he was a paranormal mentor teacher for young children, like that were having they were experiencing stuff and they weren't sure what it was, like they're experiencing like paranormal stuff, and he would help them to understand their abilities and this and that, because he said on my show, he said, mostly all those paranormal children, they want to commit suicide. I said, what? I said, no.
Wow.
So again, you have people watching, right? Let's just say you're an enthusiast, you don't know any better, and you're watching my show and and your kid's going through something.
Right.
Right. Mm-hmm. And now you're thinking, oh my God, they want to kill themselves. Like, okay, I'm going to call this guy for help, or I have a terminally ill children and this guy can, cross my child over, and peacefully. And I know they're going to go to heaven. It's like, it was so wrong. It felt wrong. Now, I never found anything in his background. And believe me, I had myself, I had Kenny Biddle, I had all these people looking for, people that had access to stuff that I couldn't.
Right.
You know what I mean? But nothing with children. All of his arrest and his jail time and everything like that was fraud. He was in jail for fraudulent documentations of a disabled adult.
Wow.
So to me, that's probably like credit card and checks and stuff like that, because it was stuff that he had to sign. So I get everybody makes mistakes. People do shit and, you learn from it, but he's a criminal fraud. He's like a criminal fraud. He's still doing it. Like he didn't learn a lesson from anything because he's still being fraudulent, And I know I went off on a tangent with that. I apologize.
Oh, it's all right. It's all
right. Now I do my research. Actually, if people come to me, I'm less reluctant to have them on, as opposed to a friend of mine or somebody that was on my show saying, hey, you know who you should get on? This guy. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because then I know that it's a good referral. You know what I mean? And I feel a little bit more comfortable. If somebody approaches me, I always do my research. I had somebody email me, asked to be on my wanted his, he was the agent for, and this is legit. Like I looked up this website. I couldn't believe it. So what they do is they pay people who apparently have, so if you were a victim of, and I say victim because a lot of people, stories that I've heard when it comes to incubuses or succubuses have not been good experiences,
Right.
So I say victim. I use the term loosely because, but so what they do is, let's say you had an experience with a succubus or an incubus, whatever. And you would have to pay them money to take your story, right? And then they take that and they reenact it. So basically,
Wow.
it's like porn.
Yeah.
Being like your traumatic experience. But now remind you, you're paying them to take your story, and then they are then making a video of it, and then you have to pay to see it, and it's your story.
Wow.
I
Wow.
was like, the fuck, you're coming on my show? You're insane.
Yeah.
I am not.
Wow.
I
It's like
am
you should
not.
pay people for their stories, not the other way around.
It's
Wow.
like the exploitation all over that is just so wrong. Like it is insane. And I mean, I clicked on the website. I was like looking into these people. I couldn't believe it. I was like, this is crazy.
Wow. So who is the most recognized person you've ever had on your podcast?
Jason Halls.
Okay, because I kind of thought it was you, but I wasn't positive, so I had to ask.
Yeah, Jason Halls. That
had to be awesome.
Oh, he's so awesome. He's like such a super nice guy, you know, and Sherry too. I mean, they're both awesome. You know, they're all, I mean, the two of them, I've become friends with them, you know, like when I see them at events now, like we actually will hang out, we get drinks together, we'll hang out, we shoot the shit. We, you know, it just, me and Sherry, we text message on, you know, and we message all the time now. So they are just so down to earth people, and just so my kind of circle of people, like how they investigate, their theories behind things, how they rule out stuff and everything. Like I totally am on board with. And I've said that all along, even before I met them and knew them. Ghost Hunters was always hands down.
Always one of my favorite shows.
Yeah. It's my favorite show. It's the only one that I watch. It's the only one I watch. I mean, so I love, you know, watching it back in the day. You don't ever think you're going to be friends with this person. You know, I literally, like, they were mentors, you know, and I watched their show, and I watched, you know, and I thankfully they were the show that I grew up watching.
Yeah.
Because nowadays all the shows are shit. Not all.
I got super excited when I found out they were coming back on. I was like, yay, my favorite show. I like Ghost Brothers. They're pretty funny. I like them.
They're funny. And I met them, and they're very nice. They're all nice. It's just like with Jason and them, and I'm not saying anything bad, but you know, they were just more personable. Like they actually, you know, not saying that the Ghost Brothers aren't personable. Like they're fun. They were there to party. They were there to hang out and meet everybody, you know, and you know, it was a different, it wasn't a bad different. It was just different.
Yeah.
I'm happy I met them. I thought they were awesome. They were so nice. This was at Power Unity in New Jersey. And at the end of the night, Joanne bought pizzas for everybody that was at the hotel. There was just like 25 large pies that came walking in at the end of the night. And they said, they was like, this is our thank you to everybody that supports us, our fans, you know, the people we work with, you know, we love y'all, you know. And I mean, they were awesome. The Ghost Brothers were awesome.
That's awesome.
Destination Fear was there.
Oh, I love Destination Fear.
So here's the thing. I don't.
Really?
And I told them. But I was nice about it. I wasn't mean.
Hey, I don't like your show.
They are awesome. They're all super nice. They're all so cool. You know, we were up until 4:00 in the morning talking, you know, and that's when I said, listen, respectfully, I said, I can't watch your show, you know, and I'm like, and all this running around and do, you know, I was trained differently than what you see on TV, you know, like, you know, if you know, their whole thing is let's get as scared as we can, open up our deepest, darkest fears and go investigate. Well, I was always said, if you get in a fight, if you're in a bad mood, you know, if anything like that, don't come because you open yourself up to track that.
Yep.
And that's what I explained to them. And I said, you know, and that's my thing. I said, I got my nieces 13 and 11.
I don't like your show, but I'm nice about it.
I mean, I was trying to be nice about it. At least I think it was. We kept on talking after that. So I guess it wasn't that bad. They were like, we respect that. I was like, okay.
Yeah.
But, you know, my 11-year-old niece and my 13-year-old niece, they're getting into paranormal stuff. And they're coming to me. And all I can picture is that they're watching these shows and they think this is how it is. I don't want them running around in cemeteries and throw something at me, and they think everything is evil.
Right. Yeah.
I don't want them.
Right.
I don't
Yeah.
want them doing that. So
Yeah.
that's why I have a problem with their show. I'm not saying the people are bad. I know
Mhm.
that it's TV, and I know that they're told they have to do certain things and this and that. I get it.
Right.
But I personally would I'm safe to say 100% that if I was ever anywhere, and I mean it happened, we almost signed on a show when I was with South Jersey Ghost Research. I was a producer for a podcast called Paranormal Straight Talk. So I would get all the guests on and stuff like that. But there was the guy that owned South Jersey Ghost Research also owned the Ghost Hunter store. So Travel Channel came in to try to do a show about the store, and they wanted him to pick 10 people. I was one of them, and my boyfriend at the time was another. And they literally wanted the world to hate me because they wanted me to pretend to cheat on my boyfriend with one of the other workers.
Wow.
And then so it would be like this big like love triangle thing for the show, just for the show. I'm like, oh, I got to be the slut. Okay, I see. I'm like, I got to be the one everybody's going to hate my guts. I'm going to be the one that everybody talks bad about on social media. I'm like, no, thank you. I am not doing that. I'm going to have friends watching, family watching. I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was
Oh,
like,
geez.
not for me. Sorry. So if anybody were to ever do that, I would not want to be a part of anything like that. Now, luckily,
Yeah.
Jason Halls owns, it's the other way around for him. He owns everything, and he's like a part of, he's the producer, and he's this and that.
Right.
So he does what he wants. Like, he doesn't have to make anybody do anything, like,
Yeah.
do that. They're the closest to legit you can get being on TV. Obviously, some things have to be a little spiced up entertainment wise, but for the most part,
Yeah.
they're the realist.
Yeah.
You had me at
That's
pizza.
cool.
Huh. I love Alita, sweetheart.
That's because you're an awesome person, Taryn, she says.
Yeah,
I didn't want to butcher your name, so it's not like I don't think I was ignoring you. How you say it? Alita. Okay,
Alita,
I didn't want to butcher the name.
I'm her wife. One of her wives, she says. So,
All right. Well, I guess we're at the top of the hour. Unless you have something else, Stacy.
Nope, I think that's it.
Oh, okay.
No, we're good.
I so appreciate you coming on talking with us.
Thank you for having me. For real.
Oh, no problem.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you so much. It's always different to be on the other side of it.
Yeah.
So it's pretty cool. Yeah, Taryn, my number one wife. Yeah.
It's like the work wife. Okay.
So yeah, thank you so much. I had fun.
Yeah, and I put your show in my calendar on Wednesday. I'm definitely
Gotta watch
tune into that one.
You'll love it. You guys will love it. It's really, really good. He's awesome.
Okay. Well, thank you, Taryn. I will
Yes,
talk to you soon.
Good night.
All right. Good
All right,
night.
good night.